Are you interested in what happened yesterday with the Leafs and the trade that they made? Daniel Winnik.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, going to Pittsburgh. We're talking about a guy who was an unrestricted free agent, they brought him in on a one-year contract, just to a serviceable third or fourth line player.
He's a rental right now for Pittsburgh. I think he'll come back to Toronto.
Well, if he's going to come back to Toronto, it's going to cost them more than they got him last year, which is why I think if you get rid of these guys, they've done well for you.
What I think it's a brilliant move for Toronto. They traded him, so they got something. And if they waited till the end of the season, they might have not got nothing and maybe not sign him. They got a chance to sign him again. So will Pittsburgh, right? And I think it's a great idea. And I think Winnick's going to be an unbelievable asset for Pittsburgh's playoff run. That's my personal view.
They were able to get the price of Winnik that they did. I mean, they got a second, a fourth, and a prospect in Zach Sill. As much as I like the way Daniel Winnik has played this year, I mean, if I'm in the Leafs front office, I'm doing backflips. I was able to get that much.
100%.
It's essentially a rental.
Yeah, he's a rental for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gave away the sky, the sun, and the moon, and the Leafs they're not making the playoffs. Why pay a fucking guy salary from now till whenever the season's over, which is around the corner? And they rented him out to Pittsburgh, but they got a big fat fee. I think that's absolutely brilliant on behalf of the Leafs. Good for them.
I would have got excited if they got a second round for Winnik, period, and they got a second, a fourth, and Zach Sill out of it. I mean, bravo to whoever orchestrated that trade, whether it was Nonis or whether it was
I heard
Dubas or Mark Hunter.
Mr. Hunter orchestrated that trade.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. And great, And the Leafs are clearly in rebuild mode. They're going for as many picks as they can. That's Kyle Dubas and that's Mark Hunter. They did the same thing when they were with Sault Ste. Marie and with London in the OHL. Just get picks. And the Leafs have nothing in the cupboard as far as prospects go. So, you know what? I'm loving the rebuild so far, and I hope it continues through Monday.
I think that's one of the nicest pieces of news I've ever seen is a trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Usually we always trade the wrong guy, and that guy always becomes a superstar, and we always get the scrap metal. And not to be disrespectful to any player. I'm just saying that we got rid of Tuukka Rask and we got Raycroft. That was not a good trade for Toronto.
No. Yeah, you could pick many of them. The Tom Curtis for the pick that wound up being Scott Niedermayer, going all the way back to John Cordick for Russ Courtnall. The Leafs always.
And that was straight up. That was a straight up deal. Straight up. That was a bizarre trade.
If you're looking why Pittsburgh is not playing very well right now, they're doing their best to upgrade that team. They made a trade early in the season where they gave up their first-round pick to get David Perron from Edmonton. He's played decently well for them right now. So, in effect, Pittsburgh's trying to do whatever they can to sort of salvage or maintain their identity as
making a playoff run, right?
Yeah.
So the bean counters in Pittsburgh are saying, look, the farther we get, the more revenue we're going to get. This guy's going to cost us X amount of money. If we win a Stanley Cup, we get this, we get that. So, I think they're doing this for Sidney Crosby. I think they're doing this for Sid the Kid. I think they're doing this for a lot of guys that have played really well. They won a Stanley Cup against Detroit. And then they went in on this lull. And Crosby seemed that almost every playoffs he's been hurt or suffering from something, because he plays very hard for a franchise player.
I think they're doing this to be relevant because something is clearly wrong with that organization. They are not playing to the level that they have in the past. Sidney Crosby has not been playing very well in recent weeks.
Listen, they got one of the best players in the world, in Malcolm. If that guy decides to play, the team turns into a different animal. I'm telling you, when they were playing Detroit in the playoffs, Detroit had them by the jugular vein, and even let Chelios play a few shifts. But when they went to Game 7, I was at that game in Detroit at Joe Louis Arena. Malcolm came out completely different. He was a destroyer. He destroyed single-handedly by himself. He destroyed the Detroit team, and they won a Stanley Cup. So you always need one guy to be a main catalyst. And I'm telling you, this guy, he's a conundrum. He's an anomaly. It's hard to figure out. Some nights he looks invisible, and he's a giant among hockey players. He's not a small guy.
He's about 6'3". He's a fairly big boy.
He's a big boy. He's very solid. He's got great hands. He's a young guy. He's going to be the guy. Whether they get Winnik or whatever, there's two guys there that have to turn it on for me. It's Fleury, who, he's another guy. When he plays well, he plays like one of the best goalies in the world. And when he doesn't, he plays like a sieve. So those are the two main components for, as far as I'm concerned, for Pittsburgh to be a serious contender for a Stanley Cup. And I think they got Winnik as insurance, in my modest view.